What's up, everybody? Jim and Eric here to talk about the resounding failure that was the Fantastic Four reboot. Clearly not a hit with critics, audiences, or fans.
Or the director.
Or the director.
Yeah.
Nobody likes this damn thing.
Nobody likes
So
this
let's
movie.
talk about it.
Right.
The actuals came in, the box office actuals came in, and it was even under the 26.2 million.
Yeah.
That was the reported amount. Second place debut, lost to Mission Impossible. I think it's 25 and change today. More than half of, less than half, more than half,
Less than half
of what the original, the first two Fantastic Four movies opened to.
Yeah, I think the first one in 2005 opened with 56 million, and that's not accounting for inflation, which means a lot less people went to see this movie.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
And even internationally, I think the number I saw on Box Office Mojo was only in the 30s.
Yeah.
So you're not making up ground overseas so far. Now I want to read a quote from Fox's distribution chief, Chris Aronson. He was interviewed by Variety, and they basically asked him, do you think it was too soon to reboot it? And he said, I don't think it's too soon. And then, well, what next? He was asked, and he basically said, quote, we have a lot to look forward to in our comic book character universe. We may find ways to feature these characters in the future, but it's early, and we'll have to see what form that takes.
Yeah.
So basically not closing the door on them doing more movies down the line, whether that be in standalone movies or, and we're going to get into this a little bit more now, perhaps popping up in the X-Men movie universe, the one that makes money.
Yeah, yes, I think we're both on board with, wouldn't it be great if Marvel just got the characters back and they could become part of the MCU? But
not that easy.
Not that easy, both for rights issues and who even owns the rights to Fantastic Four, but also just, it's not how Hollywood works. And just because we agree Fox has kind of unfortunately made 3 now movies that make us feel no confidence in them making Fantastic Four movies, but that still doesn't mean they're going to give up the rights. It's just, we should kind of table that.
Yeah.
Because, and who knows? We shouldn't say it won't happen.
We have to just, reiterate that the Sony deal, Sony didn't give up Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They're sharing Spider-Man. Marvel is not making money off of Sony's, standalone Spider-Man movie. And vice versa.
Yeah.
They're sharing a character who's become part of a larger universe. Could they do that with Fox? Possibly, but there's a lot of bad blood there.
There's a lot of bad blood there, and honestly, there's probably less incentive for Marvel to make this deal because Spider-Man was the crown jewel. Spider-Man was, I think Quesada said, he's our Mickey Mouse. And there was something, I think, that bothered them about not having Spider-Man in a way that the Fantastic Four, unfortunately, just because it's not as big a property, not as popular a property, of course they'd want it back, but I don't think they'll fight the way they did with Spider-Man to get him into the MCU.
Yeah, and Daredevil was also an easier situation because that was one production company, I believe New Regency, who had the rights. Fox distributed the film, and I think they had a clause about doing sequels and spin-offs because they obviously did the Elektra movie.
Right.
So it was a different deal. They let that expire and let it go back to Marvel. This is a different thing. They can hold on to these rights for several years because now they've just made that movie. So I think, what is it, like 7 or 8 year
Something
window.
like that, yeah.
And let's get into a bit of the minutia. And we're still digging into this, and it's pretty murky, but the initial rights were held by Constantin Film, a German company. And the guy who ran that was
back in the 90s.
Actually, I think they got the rights even in the late 80s or something.
Probably.
So anyways, that's how it got to the Corman thing where they're like, I want to hold on to the rights to this. We'll give Corman a deal. He'll put out a cheapy film so we can hold on to it. Then they paid him, I think, like $1 million to give them back the rights.
Yeah.
And so Fox had a distribution deal with Constantine. They didn't necessarily have the rights to make those movies. The guy who is now the boss of Constantine is a producer on the Fantastic Four reboot. So they're involved.
So it's so convoluted and we don't know all the minutia. I guess the big question is, at this point, I feel that the brand Fantastic Four is very damaged right now. Well, I think everyone agrees.
It's radioactive.
It's radioactive, especially if
and not in a good way.
Not in a good way, not in a give you superpowers way. And I think it's especially damaged with a Fox logo at the top. That being said, X-Men is in a much better place, coming off well-received movies, about to launch, and we've got 4 movies that we know of happening for sure in the next year and a half. There's a lot happening with X-Men, and so will the solution be, and it seems like those quotes are inferring that you cross over, and maybe you don't cross over everyone at first, I keep thinking that maybe your solution is at first, the Thing pops up in Deadpool 2, or Johnny Storm, is in some race car sequence in a Gambit. It's like you just kind of populate the characters, which we think would probably keep the rights. You start to seed them out
the way that, frankly, Marvel has been doing with name-dropping characters. But also,
or even how Black Widow was in Iron Man 2, It's like
there are ways to do this, and so we're basically of the opinion that, it would be great, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. Another interesting thing about Constantine film is that they had the rights to Mortal Instruments. And that movie tanked, and that was supposed to be a franchise starter. Well, they didn't just kick that to the curb, they brought it to TV, and now they're doing Shadowhunters television series. We don't quite know what the TV rights are, if Constantine has TV rights to Fantastic Four as well. Could they go that route, that would be interesting.
Again, but we don't even know. It's so complicated. The other thing I wonder about is, so let's assume that Fox is going to fight, Fox and Constantine Films will fight to keep these rights, and therefore they will use the characters in some capacity. Do you use the cast? A very good, talented, acclaimed cast from other movies, again, and I think no. I think unfortunately for them, it's too toxic now after that movie.
And we'll see also what they say about this film in the months ahead. Like, every actor, look at Ryan Reynolds, they all trash talk that comic book bomb that they were in.
Everyone is.
It's not like Halle Berry's ever come out and said anything good about Catwoman.
No, didn't she accept her Razzie for that one?
Oh, well.
I could be wrong, but I think
you need someone as honorable as Halle Berry.
It's like what happens is they'll be promoting another movie and they'll start to get honest about it. But I think it's unfortunate. I mean, it's even more extreme than what happened with Andrew Garfield, who those movies had more fans than this one did. As far as, hey, you're a good actor doing a good job, but sorry, we just cannot continue on this path at all.
No, I don't see that happening, and I think it'll be a while even before we see them pop up, even in the X-Men movies. I think it was Simon Kimber, the writer-producer of the reboot, was saying last week that the possible way in is that the X-Men and Fantastic Four exist in parallel universes. And since we've seen the Fantastic Four now kind of be able to do interdimensional travel, you would still have to keep their origin technically that way, but it doesn't. You could kind of do what Incredible Hulk did with the Ang Lee Hulk, where you kind of sort of acknowledge, like, well, their origin happened, but let's just get the ball going.
But honestly, now that this movie has been because those quotes were still from before the movie opened, now that it's gone that badly, I can see them just wiping it all clean and just saying, like we were saying before we started filming, someone needs help, and they go to Dr. Richards, or Victor Von Doom shows up, Magneto goes to speak to Victor Von Doom, and you just say, guess what? They are now part of the X-Men universe. And that way, you don't have to deal with the baggage of this movie, which obviously had no mutants in it. It's just,
and you can also bring in the cosmic element, because the X-Men have done adventures in space. Maybe that is your way to kind of help boost both franchises. Not
the
that
Shi'ar could come in.
The Shi'ar, the Brood.
There you go, Brood.
Also, which were, ironically enough, an Alien ripoff. Everything comes back to Fox.
And then you could do Brood versus Aliens, because it's all at Fox.
And Cyclops' dad, the Corsair?
Starjammers.
We do that. Professor X and his kind of angel-looking Shi'ar.
I can't. Lilandria, something like that.
All right. Well, we want to know what you think about the actual realistic options here.
Assuming it doesn't go back to the MCU, because
it seems
unlikely.
So just bear that in mind. We want to know what you think in the comments below. For all things Fantastic Four, keep it here on IGN.